9 young hikers set out on a journey through the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains. Their bodies were found weeks later, scattered, mutilated, and frozen under mysterious conditions. The Soviet government called it an accident, others say it wasn't. And the world still asks the same question, and what really happened at Dyatlov Pass. It was February 1959. A group of experienced hikers led by a 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov ventured into the icy Ural Mountains of Soviet Russia. They were young, strong, and skilled in survival. Their goal was to reach the remote peak known as Orton. But somewhere along the way, everything went horribly wrong. When the hikers didn't return on schedule, search parties were sent out. What they found even shocked extremely experienced rescuers. The group's tent was discovered slashed open, not from the outside, but from the inside. Their belongings were left behind, boots, coats, and even food. It was as if the hikers fled in terror into the freezing night, with no protection against the brutal cold. Their bodies. Yuri Dorshchenko, 21. Location found under a cedar tree, 1,500 meters away from the tent. Clothing: barefoot, stripped to underwear and a t-shirt. Notable injuries: minor abrasions on the face and hands, light burn on the right leg and left foot from a fire. Official cause of death: hypothermia. Yuri Kurzhenko. Location found near Dorshchenko under the same cedar tree. Clothes: nearly naked, only wearing a shirt and shorts. Burnt skin on foot and leg, bitten finger, possibly self-inflicted in agony, minor scratches. Official cause of death: hypothermia. Igor. Location found 300 meters away from the cedar tree and 1,200 meters away from the tent. Clothing: wearing a jacket unbuttoned, missing a hat and gloves. Notable injuries: abrasions on face, bruised knuckles, frostbite on fingers. Official cause of death: hypothermia. Zanata. Location found between the cedar tree and the tent. Clothing: barefoot, single sweater and pants. Notable injuries: bruised nose and lips, minor abrasions on face and hands, frostbite. Official cause of death: hypothermia. Rooston. Location found midway between the tent and the cedar tree. Clothing: wearing one boot, several layers on the upper body. Notable injuries: a fractured skull, a 6 centimeter linear fracture, bruised knuckles, abrasions on face, possible fighting injuries. Official cause of death: hypothermia with blunt force trauma. Lubinina. Location found ravine. Clothes: wearing parts of other hikers' clothes. Notable injuries: massive chest fractures, multiple ribs broken brutally, missing tongue, eyes, lips, and facial tissue. Believed to be post-mortem and caused by decay and animals. Official cause of death: internal trauma and hypothermia. Alexandra. Location found in ravine. Clothing: partially dressed, clothing torn. Notable injuries: nose deformed, neck dislocated, ear cartilage missing. Official cause of death: hypothermia. Semyon. Location found in ravine. Clothing: wearing a fur coat, hat, camera around the neck. Notable injuries: 5 fractured ribs, right side, heart and lung heavily damaged, eyes missing, no external bruises. Official cause of death: massive internal trauma, blunt force. Nikolai. Location found in ravine. Clothing: dressed more warmly, one felt boot. Notable injuries: major skull fracture, depressed fracture 13 centimeters long, extensive internal bleeding, minor external damage. Official cause of death: blunt force trauma to the head. Other notable observations: not only was the tent cut from the inside, but it suggests that they fled the campsite with extreme haste. So what was in the tent with them that made them do that? Many of the victims were partially undressed, a phenomenon consistent with paradoxical undressing seen in hypothermia cases. Other interesting observations was that they found traces of radiation reportedly on their clothing. The most disturbing part about this is that 4 of the hikers were found deeper in the forest and in the ravine. Their bodies were horrifically mutilated, fractured skulls, broken ribs, eyes missing, tongue missing, cuts from the face. Yet there is no signs of a struggle, which doesn't make sense. No external wounds on some of them, with even having broken ribs. Theories: avalanche theory. Official Soviet explanations blame an avalanche. But if that was true, why were the tents still standing, barely buried in snow? And why were the hikers scattered so far apart with such bizarre injuries? Military testing. Some believe the hikers stumbled into a secret Soviet weapon test. Strange orange lights were reported in the sky that same night. Could they have been the victims of experimental bombs or parachute mines? The crushing injuries might fit, but it doesn't explain the missing tongue or why the hikers ran without clothes. The infrasound theory. There is even a theory involving sound. Certain wind patterns in the mountains can create a low-frequency vibration. It has been linked to panic, hallucinations, and feelings of dread. What makes the Dyatlov Pass incident even creepier is the secrecy. The Soviet investigation was rushed, files were classified, witnesses were silenced, and for decades, any attempt to revisit the case met resistance. It wasn't until the recent years that some of the documents were released, but many believe the full truth remains hidden.